Hey, you. Welcome back to the channel. And guys, today we wanted to talk about the TV show The Inhumans and how the show's been so far. And by the title I posted, uh, my opinion is the show has been great. And I'm kind of surprised hearing a lot of people slamming the Inhumans show. They think it's horrible, they think it's terrible. And I have a different opinion, and I'm trying to figure out why my opinion is so far different from a lot of people. But it's got to be someone out there who likes the Inhumans so far, and I am one of them. So let's talk a little bit about, first some of the reasons I believe that Inhumans hasn't been well received, and I think that has a lot to do with you know, the great expectation of the Inhumans. First, being that a lot of people wanted them to make a motion picture out of the Inhumans, but the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with their long schedule of movies to do over about the next decade, uh, at some point just went, you know what, it's not enough room for the Inhumans, but maybe it'll make a good TV show. And it also tied in quite well with the Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So in that respect, kind of made sense to do this TV show about the Inhumans. That way, we still get to see the Inhumans. And I was glad about that because I rather see the Inhumans in some form than not see it at all. Even if they would have made it into a movie, we would have not seen Inhumans probably for another 10 years or so. But anyway, I think that had a lot to do with maybe why it wasn't well received because the scale of what we expected from the Inhumans can't the TV show budget was going to be limited, of course. And so I think one mistake is a lot of people have made is that they are expecting the Inhumans to be this very expensive high budget show, and it's limited by TV, understandably so. But what isn't limited is the story. And I thought the story was well done. I thought the story, it was, as I had said in an earlier review concerning the Inhumans, when it, before it came out, I spoke about that the Inhumans was such a great story. And because it was such a great story from the beginning, it was one that I want to see told. And I've always said that or believed that a good story can make up, and good acting can make up for shortcomings on budget. You can, if you got a really good storyline, that can kind of take my attention away from the budget and the cinematography. And one great thing we've got that a lot of people are in agreement with, and that's the character of Black Bolt and the actor who plays him, who I believe the name is Anson Mount. I believe he was a star on the show Sons of Anarchy, a show regretfully I never really got to get into. But I understand he may have been on that show, but obviously uh, in the show, Black Bolt can't speak, but we get to see a lot of his mannerisms and gestures and reactions, and he nails it. Anson Mount nails it really well. And watching some interviews with him, I understood that some of his training, preparation for the role, came from working a lot with the deaf, the mute, and learning various sign languages. And his reaction is just, there was this real funny scene, in it when he went to get clothes, and it just had me dying laughing as he went in. He made his sign, his gestures of a person who, would probably act who couldn't speak, and put the clothes on and headed out the door through his hand. And I just thought that was a hilarious scene. And that's, of course, when the cops pursued him. They called the cops on him because they were saying he stole the clothes. But anyway, really like that scene. But the storyline is great. This isn't an a story that we're unfamiliar with. It's the story about the brother who is king, who doesn't really want the burden, but matures to the point where he understands that he has to take the burden to lead his people. And it's always the second brother who's never chosen, who really wanted to be king. So kind of reminiscing a little bit of what we got in Thor. And, this story has resonated a lot through storytelling. And I've always liked that story. And I think they do it quite well, as Black Bolt reflects back, a lot on his trials growing up, bearing the responsibility of king of the Inhumans. And we get some very what I thought was awesome information about Black Bolt, his parents, how he accidentally killed his parents. How Maximus the Mad, his brother, kind of holds that over his head and lets him, reminds him, I'm your only brother, I'm the only immediate family you have left. And you can tell that Black Bolt has carried this with him. He's carried this guilt of killing his father and becoming king. So I really like that part. We got Ramsay Bolton from Game of Thrones. I like Ramsay Bolton, and you can kind of see some of the Ramsay Bolton coming out, coming out of him in some of the scenes. Right, and Ramsay Bolton does a good job. He brings something to the show in a villainous way, that, and it's not, he's not gone full blown Ramsay Bolton yet, but some elements are there. And he has a kind of and that's another thing I liked about the Inhumans. It wasn't a very it's even with Ramsay Bolton's character, he's a kind of complex character. Yeah, he seeks power. He wants to be king. He's willing to, at this point, kill his family to get it. But there's some interesting, things that resonate with the Inhumans being inside a caste system, him wanting the freedom from this caste system, and under Black Bolt, who's seen as the good, obviously our hero of the story, and a good king, in many respects, he still is dealing, with keeping the Inhumans in the caste system, and apparently it's been this way for thousands and thousands of years, and no one seems to be. It's almost like the royal family is, this isn't something that they are in conflict with, it seems. It's Crystals calling Maximus, you're just a human, almost as if, they see humans as a lower species, which, obviously in their species, human would be below inhuman, and we get that throughout the show quite a bit. But what I found a little bit troubling about just the ideology of how they run this caste systems is that the humans, whereas seemingly they come off as this more advanced race and species, it doesn't seem like they understand the basic problems that come with, having a caste system. Looks like they would have watched Earth and seen some issues with having this caste system. People don't seem to like the caste system. They're overcrowded on this planet, but Black Bolt seems to be more concerned about not having a war with with the, which on one hand, yeah, I can respect that. That does make him a good character, but he doesn't address this caste system issue because of the overcrowding and things like that. Is there in the city, and obviously Maximus, he has this revolutionary approach to it, where he wants to help the downtrodden and the poor, but of course, obviously, he's doing it by not the right way. And apparently, I'm assuming he's come to Black Bolt in the royal family at some point about this, and maybe they weren't able to come to a answer to the problem at the time. But but at this point in time, Maximus has decided to take things to his own hands. So I like the story, guys. I think again the issue is going to be the budget and what we're expecting. And I think I would say to a lot of the audiences that, this is a weekly TV show. And we have to uh, understand that and have a certain amount of give a certain amount of leeway, to a weekly budget show with just a few $1 million. One thing I thought I was gonna really hate about the Inhumans was Lockjaw. Of course, the teleporting dog, and I still have a problem with that. I just wish they could have did that a little bit better. But I have a big problem too with just how they teleport from the moon to Earth. I didn't like that. I wish they could have did something a little bit cooler with that, something a little bit better, with that. But at the same time, I could see that makes a lot easier for people to show up on Earth. It's less expensive to the budget to have all these people do some kind of, you know, fantastic teleportation CGI type thing. But I would have preferred, and this is kind of my rule about it, because I think the show has a great story. It's entertaining to me. It moves along at a pace where I don't feel like it's dragging on, and I really appreciate that, because a lot of times shows can't seem to get around that dragging on with a lot of information in between, like just filler that we don't have to see. And it's just a lot of them do that, and it's just irritating to me. But I would prefer, if you got a good story like this, keep focusing on good acting, a good story, and if we only get to see 5 minutes of half decent CGI or even a minute of it, I'm fine with that. So in a situation like that, I would have preferred had they spend a lot on one good teleportation CGI scene, and just kind of have everybody else show up on the planet and just kind of reference that they teleported over. I'd much rather see that than just a bunch of cheap teleportation stuff happening all through the season. Um, and obviously, of course, between Anson Mouse, who plays Black Bolt, and I call him Ramsey Bolton. I can't Ian something. I can't remember his real name. Who plays Maximus the Mad here, or Maximus. I love these two characters acting a dynamic together. I like that. I think they're both good actors, and I think that's really helping this show. I don't care much for the other characters though, but I would prefer, that they are together and not alone on their own a lot, like how they got them. At least in the first 3 episodes I've seen so far, they have them, separated, and they're trying their best to get back together. But I don't like these characters alone. I'd rather see them either with Black Bolt or not at all. So I kind of wish they kind of would have did a thing, which I thought at first, which was going to happen. I thought they were going to do a similar story like what they did with Thor, and I think they would have did a lot better going this route where Thor gets sent to Earth, and in the elements of Asgard, they aren't there on Earth with Thor, towards except in the beginning when he's in Asgard and at the end. And I thought that's how Black Bolt's character was going to be. I thought he was going to be the one running during the coup, the king running, but instead it's the whole royal family. But I think it would have worked a little bit better then, and we just kind of revolved around Black Bolt's story with the royal family trying to get to him, and they just kind of show up at the end, kind of like how they showed up with Thor, in a sense. But anyway, so far, guys, I don't think it's a terrible show. I think it's doing quite well. All things considered, it being a weekly TV show with a limited budget. Guys, tell me what you think. Do you like Inhumans so far? Tell me what you don't like about it. Tell me what you'd like to see it do better if you don't like it. And if you do like it, tell me what you like about it. Guys, if you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe. And until next time, take care.